Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to understand spoiled and defective journal entries with the help of an example. Here we do have an example and I would like to show you your performer. Journal entries present at left page, journal entries present at your right page. There are three journal entries for heading what we use when loss is not charged to the production, and three journal entries would be for loss charged to the productions. And here your requirement you can see easily. Loss on spoiled goods is not customary, is charged to the order. That means not charged to the production. Loss on spoiled goods is customary and is not charged to the job but is charged to the entire production. It means if it is charged to the production, part A not charged to the production. And in our performer, here you can see not charged and charged to the production. So we will be having three journal entries for loss charged to the production, three entries for loss not charged to the production. And here our question is starting from here. We have a company name, received an order, number of units you are manufacturing is 2000, direct material per unit. This is your small m, small l, small f present over here. Order is completed. 10% of the completed units have defects and had to be sold at second. As we have understood that spoiled loss is a type of loss which cannot be recovered. Damage is so severe that even after repairing process, it is not possible to make them as A pair. So what we will do, instead of putting extra cost upon these damaged goods, we will sell them as B pair. But obviously the price of these B pair would not be equal to the standard price. We will not be able to sell these spoiled goods at higher level of price. The price at which we will sell these B pair or spoiled goods would be less than that of standard price. So hopefully you have understood the procedure or the methodology. This is the concept. We are manufacturing 2000 number of unit, out of which 10% are spoiled, and spoiled goods are sold as B pair. So let's start our journal entries, and you have understood that three entries would be present on left side, three entries would be present on right side, and we are going to calculate the amount. Hopefully you remember work in process. Material is your first input, and then you will have work in process for labor, and then you will have work in process for FH. These are journal entries which we have already seen in our introductory lectures to material and then to labor, after which we have to factory overheads. So what narration we will use? Work started. Okay. For this we will use some formulas over here, and the formula is very important. You will use work number of units multiplied by small m. Formula we can write over here, units multiplied by small m. And how you will use this formula? How many number of units you have started? Look, we'll have to understand it. That is why I am writing in the same journal entry, and you are not needed to write over here. It's just an explanation. Okay, go back to the question. How many number of units we have started? 2000 total number of pair of shoes are going to be manufactured. And direct material per unit cost is 50. 2000 number of unit, 50 is direct material cost. Come over here. Number of unit 2000, and it needed to be multiplied per unit cost, which is 50. In this way you can complete your first entry, and I am going to make some space for the important matter is you will understand this how we have written it. For that, I'm again informing you total number of units were manufactured 2000, per unit cost of material was 50. So what you have done, units multiply by per unit cost of material, unit 2000 cost 50. Now statement completed, we can calculate our amount 2000 multiply by 50. So in this way our first amount has been calculated, work in process material cost is finalized, and now we will see how to calculate cost of labor in the same way. And you know the formula which we have used over here would be just like the same formula we will use over here with a little twist. Again we will use units multiply by small l, but this way formula we have changed from per unit material to per unit cost of labor. After which we will be putting amount. Number of unit we do know, and that number would be same for material labor efforts. 2000 number of unit we are manufacturing, per unit cost of labor is 40. So come over here and per unit cost is 40, so you will be putting number of unit 2000 and multiply with 40, which is per unit cost of labor. Now the third point would have a formula as well. Number of units would be multiplied by per unit cost of FH. Number of unit would be same 2000, and we will now see how much per unit cost of FH is. Factory overhead rate is 50% of labor. Labor is 40, it's 50%. You can directly calculate 50% of 40 is 20. So you can put your price over here, multiply by 20, which is 50% of labor cost. In this way, we have completed our cost of FH as well. These are calculations and you are not needed to write over here. I'm just letting you understand them. So you will go to working place and there you will be mentioning how have you calculated these amounts. Work in process material, units multiplied by per unit cost of material. Work in process labor, you have calculated by multiplying units into labor. Statements are completed. We are now calculating it. Number of unit 2000 and multiplied by per unit cost of labor 40. Second amount is calculated. Now work in process FH amount we are going to calculate. Units we have 2000 and we need to multiply it with per unit cost of FH, which is 20. So here we have got the amounts. And the easy thing is amounts which you will put over here on debit side. As you know, in accounting, same amounts we need to put at credit side. In this way, same amounts would be put over here. Okay, I was trying to copy paste. Let's try it separately. First amount you will write here 1000. Now it is appearing. Second is 80,000. Same amount would be present over here. And third amount same would be present at this stage. In this way, our first journal entry has been completed. I am requesting you to please focus upon these formulas, and this would be very helpful for you to calculate any amount in any question for spoiled goods. So first calculations has been completed. Let's check it out. These journal entries are, I just reminded myself we are going to do spoiled goods. This is our first question. First entry is completed. Second entry, hopefully someone of you would remember what we have done is spoiled goods or spoiled goods or spoiled recovery to work in process, and that would be for material, and then you will see work in process, two work in process for labor, and third you will see work in process for FH, and these three entries would be written on credit side. So we will turn them to right side. And what we have done over here, recovery of spoiled loss. This is your narration, and it would be put at third line, and this way you have completed your second entry. But obviously we are needed to put the amounts, and you people will understand how to put amount over here. This is very interesting. So first we will go for spoiled goods, and how you will write it: units spoiled would be multiplied by sale price. We will pick this and will shorten the sign. Now go back to the question and see how many number of units were spoiled. Here you can see that when the order was completed, it was found that 10% of the completed units has defects. Total number of unit 2000, and 10% we can calculate. Over here you can calculate if it is 2000, and you need to calculate 10% multiply by 10 divided by 100. Now you can get the amount 2000 would be multiplied by 10 divided by 100. So spoiled units are 200. Again go back to the question what was said. It was found that 10% of the completed units are defective, had defects and sold as B pair. So spoiled number of unit 10%, 2000 total number of units, and 10% are spoiled. So it means we have 200 spoiled goods. Look over here, these are spoiled goods and spoiled goods. 200 number of units are spoiled. We will apply this formula over here. And what is the selling price? Again go back to the question, and these sold as second B pair at 88. So 88 per unit is the selling price, so you will put 88 over here. Finally we can calculate its amount as statement has been completed. 200 multiplied by 88. Amounts of spoiled goods have arrived. So there is another interesting thing, how you will divide this amount 17,600 among these three. I have told you a formula when we have introduced it. What you will do, this is your spoiled amount, and you will be dividing it with individual amount and by sum of these three amounts. Since there is no formula actually, so what I was introducing in your introductory lecture, that was very important if you have remembered. So for the time being, since we are just understanding, no, it would not be happening. We have to write something. So first amount I'm calculating, I'm requesting you to please understand how do we calculate it. Here I will write, and then after completing it, I will remove it when you will understand it. First of all, you will take this amount 17,600, and then you need to multiply it with individual amount 1 lakh, and then you will divide it with total. So total of these amounts would be carried 80 and 40 120, and 1 lakh 220. So you will be dividing it with 220,000. This statement is very important and it is not appearing over here. So instead of writing here, we can take it to this side. In this way you will understand how we have calculated the amount. Again, try to understand. Amount of spoiled goods would be multiplied by amount of material and then divided by total, with which you will get here the amount. Statement is written over here. 17,000 was the amount of spoiled goods, multiplied by individual amount of material 1 lakh, divided by total of these things. Total of these we have calculated. How we have calculated the sum? First amount was 1 lakh, and then you have added second amount, then added third amount, so we have got the total as 220,000. Multiply individual divided by total, multiply by individual divided by total. Again, I'm letting you understand. Amount of spoiled was 17,600, which was recovered. You need to multiply it with individual amount, that was 1 lakh, and then you needed to divide by total of these amount, which was 220,000. I think more than 5-6 times I have repeated. I'm very hopeful that you had understood it. First amount has arrived as 8,000. In the similar way, you will calculate second amount. Second amount is associated with labor, so we will connect it with labor. First of all, 17,600, the total amount. Then you need to multiply it with individual total of labor, which is 80,000, and then you will divide it by sum of these three material labor FOH, which was 220,000. So you will write like this. Statement is completed. You can now calculate over here. It's just a repetition. 17,600, and you will multiply it with individual total, which was 80,000, and then you need to divide the sum of these three material labor FOH, which was 220,000. Second amount has arrived, and now you will calculate third amount, which is associated with FOH. So we will take first total 17,600 spoil total, and then you will multiply it with individual total of FOH, that was 40,000, and divided by grand total of material labor FOH, which is 2,20,000 grand total. Okay, calculation has been completed. Now we can put it on calculator. 17,600 multiply by 40,000 divided by 220,000. So third amount has also been calculated. These are your calculation you will calculate at end of the question, where you will do working. So it was difficult for me as well to write down at end of the question. For that, what I was supposed to do, going back, going up, going back, going up, instead of doing this, I have written these calculation over here. So you are supposed to do these calculation in a very neat work at end of question. I'm repeating it. You will not leave these, you will not skip these calculation. You will be doing it at end of the question in very neat way. Now next part is you will have to verify whether these amounts are correct or not. Method is very simple. If you will sum these amounts, sum of these amounts should be equal to 17,600. So you will check it out. 8,000 was first amount, then add 6,400, and then add 3,200. In this way your amount is 17,600. It means it is equal. So we are not needed to worry about these amounts. Okay. So calculations has been completed for second entry. It's time to see our third entry, and hopefully you remember third entry was finished goods to material to work in process material. Here you will write work in process material, and then you will write, let me correct the spellings, to work in process labor, and then you will see work in process FH, work in process labor to be written in bracket, and then you have work in process material as well, needed to be put a bracket over here. Okay, entry has been completed. So in introductory lecture you were asked to calculate amounts of work in process material labor FH through a ledger. Though it can be directly calculated, but question requirement is to calculate through ledgers. So I'm requesting you, direct method can also be told to you, and indirect method is just to make the ledgers. So you are supposed to make ledgers. So please make first ledger work in process material ledger. And what you will do, you will see where work in process material is present. If it is debit, you will post on debit side. If it is credit, you will post on debit side. First, 1 lakh is present on debit side. So you will write 1 lakh over here, and reference, you will see whatever would be written on the opposite side. At opposite side, to material is written. So you will use this as reference to material. And then again back to the question, and you see in second entry work in process material is credit by 8,000. So you will go to the credit side and will write 8,000. Reference would be written whatever is written on the opposite side, spoiled goods. So here you will use the word spoiled but with an additional word of by spoiled goods. Okay. There were only two entries which were having work in process material. We have posted them. First step is to calculate total of both sides. Total of debit side is 1 lakh and total of credit side is 8,000. Then you will take the larger sum, which is 1 lakh, and you will be writing it on total of both sides. Larger sum would be put on total of both sides. Smaller side would be chosen for calculation of balance. How you will calculate this balance? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum was 1 lakh, and you need to subtract the smaller sum, which was 8,000. In this way you have calculated this balance 92,000, and same balance you will be posting. This was your balance 92,000. The same amount would be written in front of work in process material. In the similar way, you will make ledger for work in process labor. Here you will make ledger for work in process labor. And method is absolutely similar. Work in process labor debit 80,000. So you will put 80,000 over debit side. Reference would be similar to labor. Go back to the question. This 80,000 was debited, reference was labor. And second entry, labor is credited by 6,400. So you will write 6,400 over here. And reference of 6,400 is what? Whatever is written on the opposite side, spoiled goods. So you will write by spoiled goods over here. It's time to calculate its balance. To calculate your balance, you need to get sum of both sides. Sum of debit side is 80,000. Sum of credit side is 6,400. Then you will take the larger sum. Larger sum is 80,000, and you will put 80,000 on total of both sides. So 80,000 put over here, and same would be written on credit side as well. You will choose now smaller side, which is credit, as total of credit side is 6,400. There you will calculate the balance, and this balance would be calculated by subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum was 80,000 and you need to subtract smaller sum which was 6,400. In this way you have calculated your balance, and this balance would be written in front of labor. How much balance you have calculated? 73,600. Direct calculation can be made. Okay, look at here. FOH debit side 40,000, FOH credit side 3,200. These are opposite sides, and opposite signs would be subtracted. So what you are going to do, 40,000 was on debit side, subtract what was present on credit side, 3,200. So this is second method, minus 3,200. So what you have done, 40,000 was present on debit side, 3,200 was present on credit side. Both signs were different, you have subtracted. But I am requesting you again, you will be making ledger of work in process, material, labor and FOH as well. Right now I have told you both methods where without making ledger you can calculate the amount, but just for the confirmation. It is requirement of the question, you will make these ledgers. I have made two ledgers and you will make three ledgers for work in process material, labor and FOH. What I have done, work in process material ledger was made, answer was put over here. Again ledger for labor was made, answer was put here. And I haven't made ledger for work in process FOH. Direct amounts can also be calculated. So why these amounts are deleted? Actually I have deleted totals which were not supposed to be deleted. But you are not needed to write these totals. Instead of these totals you will directly put the amount. Okay, now you can see that finished goods, this 92,000 was calculated through ledger, 73,600 was calculated through ledger, but we haven't made any ledger for FOH work in process. We have directly subtracted debit side from the credit side and written the amount. Okay, now final touch is what? You need to write amount of finished good, which would be sum of credit side. As you know, simple accounting principle is debit and credit side would always be equal. So what you will do, sum of these three amounts would be written over here. So 92,000 plus 73,600 plus 36,800. So you have got your amount. This is your first answer. Amount of finished good is 2,200, 400. 2,002 2,02,400 is your first answer of A. And what is our answer? As you can see, amount of finished good is 2,02,400. In this way we have calculated our answer. Left side is completed. I'm requesting you to please take a screenshot of this, because I'm going to delete it, after which it would be vanished, disappear from here. Left side is completed. We will now be completing our right side, and what you will do on right side, your heading would be changed, and instead of not charged to the production, we haven't charged to the production, and new heading is charged to the production, for which this is very easy for me. I'm using Excel. It might be annoying for you. Why? Because you will not be able to copy it. Here I will use everything which is written on left side. Same amount, same entry would be repeated over here. You can see that nothing has been changed. Same amount, 1,80,40, 1,80,40, and what you have done, same inputs, work in process material labor FOH, work in process material labor FOH, to material labor to. So nothing would be changed, either if it is not charged to the production or charged to the production. Next is you will pick this entry, and same entry would be posted over here, but what you will do, except one change you will make over here. and this way you have vacant one space. At the time when you are doing your cost charge to the production, you will increase one space, and there you will write factory overhead FH only when you want to charge it to the production. Now it's your responsibility how you would remember in your mind. If it is charged to the production, you will increase one additional word, that is FH. First entry absolutely same, second entry everything same except one additional factor, that is FH. Formula I will write over here. Units spoiled same multiply by loss per unit. This is the formula, units spoiled multiplied by loss per unit. Okay, now go back to the question and you can see that the total price you have calculated was 50, 40 and 20. I think we'll have to calculate it, and we are calculating over here. Total cost, how did you calculate? Price was 50 and then 40 and then 50% of labor. Labor was 40, its 50% would be 20. Statement completed, and now you can calculate total cost was 50 plus 40 plus 20. This was your total cost. While we have sold these spoiled goods for 88 only. Now here cost was 110, sale of spoiled was 88. So now let me know how much loss per unit you had faced. Price was 110 total cost, and we have recovered only 88. Remaining would be considered as your loss. Total cost was 110 and you received 88 as B pair. So loss of 22 per unit is the spoiled loss. Right side, when you have charged this to the production, you have additional FH over here, and you are going to write its amount units spoiled. How many number of units were spoiled? This you have already calculated. 10% of the good units, 2000 total number of units, 10% were spoiled, and you can write over here spoiled units here. So we do know that 200 were total number of spoiled goods. Come over here, 200 spoiled goods and multiply by loss per unit, and this loss per unit we have recently calculated is 22. So we are going to put 22 over here. In this way our formula is completed. How did we calculate is, this part is your working, you may write over here or you may put them at end of the question. Why I am writing beside the question, so that you can understand it easily. Otherwise when I was writing them at end of question, it was little difficult for you. Now it's time to calculate the amounts. First statement, follow this formula. 200 is needed to be multiplied by per unit 88. We have got our first amount. Then second amount 200 is going to be multiplied by 22. Second amount has also been arrived. Now remember what we have done to calculate this 8000. 17,000 was multiplied by individual amount and divided by sum of these three amounts. Same formula we will be using over here, and I will let you know by calculating at here. So first amount you will calculate for work in process material. How? You will be looking over here these two amounts will be distributed in three parts. Two amounts 17,600, 17,600 and then add 4,400. Now you will calculate 17,600 would be added in 4,400. Okay, 22,000 is the sum, and you are going to calculate individual amounts as well. I'm just reducing its size, it's little bigger. Okay, so again I'm repeating. In previous stage, what you have done, there was only one amount, 17,600. You have multiplied it with individual amount of material, 1 lakh, and divided by sum of material labor FH. This way you have got your answer. Please read over here. 17,600, and then you have multiplied individual amount 1 lakh and sum of these three amount was 220,000. In this way you have calculated 8,000. 100% similarly, what you will do, sum of these two amounts are present on debit side. 22,000 is sum. To calculate amount of work in process material, 22,000 would be multiplied by individual total 1 lakh and then divided by sum of these three amounts was 220,000. And I will let you know the sum of these three amounts is not the big thing. You have added these three amounts and calculated 220,000. So again, let's read it again. Sum of these two amounts was 22,000 and you needed to multiply it with individual amount 1 lakh and divided by sum of these three amount 220,000. I was checking the zeros. So first amount we have calculated. In the same way, we will be calculating amount for work in process labor as well. Here I will demonstrate. Total was 22,000 and you need to multiply it with individual amount of labor 80,000 and then you will be dividing it with sum of material labor FY which was 220,000. Now we will calculate. Statement was completed. 22,000 would be multiplied by 80,000 individual total and divided by grand total 22,000. 2,20,000. Second amount has also been calculated. In the similar way, we will calculate third amount. How? 22,000 is sum of these two amounts which would be divided into three parts. For that we will multiply, since we are calculating amount for FH. So individual total of FH was 40,000 and grand total of these three amount was 220,000. Here statement is completed. Now let's calculate the amount on calculator. 22,000 multiplied by 40,000 divided by 220,000. So third amount has also been calculated. Since in first part we have checked these amounts and now we will be doing the same thing over here. Sum of these three amounts should be equal to 22,000 because sum of these two amount was 22,000. It's easy. Directly we can calculate 10 plus 10,000 plus 8,000, 18,000, 18,000 plus 4,000, 22. It means we are calculated all amounts correctly. I'm requesting you to please follow this formula. The same formula we have used to calculate second entry amount present on left side and same formula we have used to calculate amounts present in second entry. It's time to see what we will do in third entry and you will be surprised. Same entry we will pick from here. Narration of this entry was finished goods. What you will do, you will pick this entry and this same entry would be posted over here. The good thing is no change in first and third entry. Same wording, but there will be a little change in calculations. For that, you will be making your first ledger of work in process material is your first ledger, and there in second part you will go in the question and will see where work in process is present. Since we are making work in process material ledger, first amount is 1 lakh. So you will put 1 lakh which was present on debit side, and now you will see reference. Whatever is written on opposite side, you can see 1 lakh present on debit side, its opposite side is credit, material is written. So you will write to material over here. In second entry, you can see work in process material is present on credit side 10,000. So you will put 10,000 on credit side. Its reference was whatever is written on opposite side. This was 10,000 we have posted. At opposite side, spoiled goods and FOH both were present. So you will write spoiled and FOH. Although this is not the best way to write, but since our focus is to calculate the amounts, actually you were needed to divide it into two parts, but for the time being we are just focusing upon calculation of amount. I'm telling you this is not the standardized way to calculate. Okay, amounts are completed since there were only two entries having work in process material, of which we are making ledger. Second step is to calculate sum of both sides. Sum of this side 1 lakh, sum of this credit side is 10,000. Then you will see the larger sum. Larger sum was 10,000. Here sum was 1 lakh on debit side, and sum of credit side was 10,000. Larger sum was 1 lakh, and you will be putting 1 lakh larger sum on both sides. Debit side we have put, and now we will put same 1 lakh on credit side as well. Little more space is needed. Okay, next step is to choose smaller side. Smaller side is this credit. Here you will calculate the balance, and finally balance would be calculated by subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Your larger sum was 1 lakh, and you needed to subtract smaller sum 10,000. In this way you have calculated your balance of balance is now 90,000. Let me reduce the size. It is irritating. Size is so large. So let's bring it down. And its size should be equal to 14. Let me make it 14. Okay. So we have got our balance. This balance 90,000 is to be written in front of work in process material. Here you have work in process material, and you will write this balance 90,000 over there. In this way our first calculation has been completed. For second calculation, you will be making your second ledger and then third ledger. We can directly calculate amount as well, but for just practice I will be making work in process labor ledger over here. For this you will go to the question. Work in process labor was present 80,000 debit, so you will write 80,000 on debit side and go back. Work in process labor is present 8,000 on credit side, so put 8,000 amount on credit side. Then you need to calculate the sum of both sides. Sum of debit side would be equal to 80,000, as there is only one amount present over here, and sum of credit side would be equal to 8,000, only amount present over here. Then you will choose the larger sum. Larger sum is 80,000, which would be put on total of both sides. Here sum would be put on both sides. What we have done, total of debit, total of credit, larger sum 80,000, we have chosen it and written on total of both sides. Then we will calculate the balance by balance. And how would you calculate by balance? By subtracting smaller sum from the larger sum. Larger sum was 80,000 and you need to subtract smaller sum which was 8,000. In this way 72,000 is calculated for balance of work in process labor. So go to third entry. In front of work in process labor you will be writing balance of ledger. This was ledger work in process labor and you have calculated balance 72,000 and will be put over. A direct method can also be used. Work in process FOH 40,000 is debit. Work in process FOH 4,000 is credit. So the simple manner, what you will do, debit and credit side are opposite signs. You will subtract. So to calculate third amount of work in process FOH in third entry, you will see work in process 40,000 is debited and 4,000 was present on credit side. Opposite side sign would be minus. In this way directly you can calculate amounts. I have told you both ways and I'm again telling you, when you will need your work, this ledger would be made, work in process material. Similarly, work in process labor ledger would also be made. At the same time, I have told you, you can calculate amounts directly as well by just subtracting debit and credit side. In this way, our third entry credit side is completed. How did you calculate this total? You have summed up all amounts present on credit side. In similar way, you will sum up all amounts present on credit side. First amount is 90,000, then 72,000 and then last amount 36,000. In this way you have calculated finished goods total. Come to the question, answer B is 198,000 and you have calculated 198,000. Hopefully you were with me and you have seen each and every calculation. I am zooming out just to let you understand what actually you have done. This was your left page where you have chosen heading charge to the production. Three entries are written over here and follow the feeling that first entry of A part or left side is exactly equal to the first entry of right page, and entry for third entry is also similar with exception of change of amount. Just in second entry, you have added an additional word of FOH. Formula is written beside every entry. We have seen how we have calculated this 1 lakh, formula is present. How we have calculated 40,000, formula is present. How we have calculated 17,600, formula is present. And how these three amounts are calculated, formulas are written over here. Just same formulas we have used for calculation of 8,000, 6,400, 3,200 and you have taken the screenshot. Otherwise, just replace 22,000 with 17,600 and this same formula will be used for here. For calculation of amounts present in third entry, we have made ledgers and directly we can also be able to calculate. So in this way, our question has been completed. Illustration was chosen just to make you understood well how we do write journal entries for spoiled goods. Time for this particular activity has been ended. Even after spending this much time, if you have any query, any question regarding these spoiled goods, you are very open to ask question through messages, text, or you can directly meet as well. For the time being, lecture time has been ended. We will surely be meeting for next step is what? Journal entries for defective goods. The next lecture would be journal entries for defective goods. Up till then, please take care of yourself and I am requesting you to please pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.